Okay then, well, welcome to the Poetry Box Live. Our next featured poet is Julia Paul, author of Staring Down the Tracks. Julia Paul's work has appeared or is forthcoming in literary journals, both national and international, including Comstock Review, New Mexico Review, Minerva Rising, Mag Review, and Radar Poetry, as well as several anthologies, including From Under the Bridges of America and Forgotten Women. Two of Julia's poems were nominated in 2020 for a Pushcart Prize. I think we nominated one of those poems for you from your book. And she's the president of Riverwood Poetry Series, a long-standing reading series in Hartford and an elder law attorney in Manchester, Connecticut. So please welcome Julia Paul.
Well, thank you to Shawn and Robert for putting on this event tonight and for inviting me to read. And thank you to the other poets on the panel. I'm honored to read with you. And thank you to everyone who's taking some time out of their Saturday night to listen to a little bit of poetry. The poems in my chapbook, which is called Staring Down the Tracks, deal with addiction. My oldest son suffered from substance use disorder for many years. My hope is that these poems help shine a light on this disease, an epidemic that kills hundreds of mostly young people every day in this country. And it's not often spoken about. These poems are meant to bring you in behind the closed doors of those who struggle in order to bring some awareness and conversation and to break the silence and stigma that surrounds drug addiction. So I'm going to start by reading a poem called One Summer Day. Before the needle twanged in his arm, before the bent spoon bent back the strap, before complaining veins, before a procession of scabs jeweled his flesh, before his half-lidded chase for what couldn't be caught, before sepsis, before hep C, before the trampled path into the woods behind Save-A-Lot, before unforgiving rain, endless snow, blistering heat, before donated blankets and gloves, shoplifted sunblock, before the cardboard sign held up to passing cars, before waiting for someone to toss their cigarette as they entered a store so he could snatch it, bring it to his lips, and dry hump it back to life, before long sleeves in summer and pawn tickets stashed under football trophies, before the oxy parties, before the root canal, the script, the refills, before ashes, ashes, we all fall down. There was a boy who loved his skateboard, how it took him where he wanted to go, to all that might have been. This next poem, I have to thank the Poetry Box for nominating it for a Pushcart Prize. It's called Black Dot. This is what loneliness looks like, defined by what surrounds it. A single black balloon slipping through white sky. This is the period sitting stone still at the end of a sentence, any sentence, including this one. This is what God looks like from behind closed eyes, faceless and distant. This is the soul, according to some, the soul blackened by sin, the light of grace snuffed out. No, this is the needle mark. This is the black hole into which the self disappears. This is the exit wound. The next poem is called Broken Flesh. Among the wandering and lingering on this street of boarded up bodegas and discarded nips, a young man descends broad near Madison. Closer now, his face broadcasts the distinct scabs of an addict. He gestures with a hand pocked with track marks, some fresh, still glistening, almost pretty, like dew caught by sunlight. Somewhere else, his mother clutches a coffee cup as morning stabs through her window blinds. Notice the remnants of a manicure, still glossy, but chipping. Notice also her palms, how their lines arc and tangle like tree branches felled by a storm. And her face, trace its map to the heart that beats like a fist against a locked door. Of course, having a child who struggles with addiction means countless sleepless nights of waking and worrying, which is addressed in the next two poems. This one is called Wake and Watch. Wake is parting waters, is aftermath, is tomorrow. Sun is chewed fingernail, ragged under torn sky, is tinder and cinder. The heat of the day is not begun, is building muscle. The heart is muscle, auto-rhythmic in its blossoming grief. Pine is tower of boughs, is state of the heart, is box. The watch is only begun. The watch is tickless, weightless. The heart is watcher at the well, coins tossed into bottomless waters, wake left by wishes. The heart begs for change. Just coffee and dessert. She's advised to have spinach pie and Greek salad at Frankie's Diner, down the hill from the detox center, while she waits to see if insurance will cover his second admission in 2 weeks. She orders carrot cake instead, because it has raisins in every bite, like little jewels strewn on the floor of a dense forest where there's no trail, just shadows and tree branches reaching out, blocking or showing the way. It's hard to tell which. So you stumble along, and when you fall to your knees, caught in a thicket because you forgot to bring a machete into this forest, you might find there something as useless as a ruby or emerald, which you'll put in your pocket because it's evidence of magic. And cannot the same be said of a raisin, sweet on the tongue of a woman alone at table 6 in the harsh light of Frankie's Diner, half a mile down the road from the detox center. My son had multiple stints of sobriety over the years, once actually for 5 years, during which he was a substance use counselor, a job he was awesome at. This poem is for anyone in the early, fragile days of recovery. It's called Recovery Prayer. The curtains parted just enough so daylight sneaks through. The sun doesn't need to flood the room, not yet. Like the starving man at the bottomless buffet, take it slow. Otherwise is your thin shadow. Check the rearview mirror for the 18-wheeler that travels the rain-slicked road. Take it slow. Look up except when walking the cusp of the canyon. Move forward unless the ice beneath you begins to crack, or the tide grabs your knees, or the flames reach out for your hand, or the grenade comes rolling towards you. Hold onto hope like it's the rope swaying above raging waters, a hand in the dark, the ladder outside the burning room, the rail above the abyss. Hold on to the homily, the stars in the matte black night, the photograph in the wallet, to the poem or song or blossoming rose. Hold on to that splinter of light, the voice you used to know. This next poem is called Cycles. Blue moon. Twice this month to detox. Twice he walks away. Twice a second chance. Supermoon. Obsession, compulsion, obsession, compulsion, obsession, compulsion. Harvest moon. Fast-tracked bus to Hartford. The cravings consume him. The feast at the altar waits. Blood moon. The needle can no longer find a proper vein. A bloody mess when he shoots up. Wolf moon. He paces like an animal, tears at scabs on his hands, turns off the light he can no longer bear. Tragically, my son, Brendan James Paul, died from a fentanyl overdose in 2020. My final two poems that I'll share with you tonight were written after his death. The first is called Poem for My Son, and this is published in the most recent edition of Mom Egg Review, which is online. Poem for My Son. This is the poem in which you don't die. This is our hour to be together. The doorbell doesn't ring, not yet. Yesterday, I rearranged furniture. A table in front of the south-facing window. In place of the peace lilies, begonias and geraniums, their stems reaching toward the light. In this poem, we've just made tacos or spaghetti. You're laughing at your own jokes, telling your brothers about times you snuck out of the house, how you always got away with things. In this poem, I say, I love you, be safe. There are so many details to see to. To bring you back is to give you shape and smell, cell by cell. There's birdsong outside the window. The bush by the door, the one I never learned the name of, is budding. The earth is coming to spring. In this poem, the whole world wants to wear your face. And my final poem is actually the first poem I wrote after he died, when I tried to envision what moving forward would look like. It's called On Buying a Paddleboard After the Death of My Son. The salesman who said February is the best time to buy a paddleboard had a nice smile and was around my son's age. I wanted to hug him for his mother, who was probably not at that moment thinking how lovely he is. I had paddleboarded once on Cochiti Lake. It was like floating on sunlight. There were no sharp edges. The lake was boundless. The lake was gentle. It was the life I longed for. It was the life I longed for my son. I want to focus on the distance while slipping past it. I want my balance back. I want to lift my eyes to the sky without going under. I want to float while on bended knees. I want to stand on my own 2 feet. If only the wind would take me away. When I unclench my fist, the wind will take him away. When I fall, the water will release me over and over. I want to be brave enough to float again With something solid beneath me, I will throw his name into the air. I will move through the water toward an absence that is everywhere. Nevertheless, I will move through the water. Thank you so much.
Julia, that was really special, really beautiful. And I wish I was there to just give you a big hug, mom to mom. I can't thank
I'll
you
take it
enough.
virtually.
I can't thank you enough for writing this collection, for sharing your pain, shining a light on this huge, huge epidemic we have. And, you know, I think the poem, the one you started with, actually is one that always really grabbed me quite a bit. And when you get to that part where there was a boy who loved his skateboard, how it took him where he wanted to go and all the places that might have been.
Thank you.